Southlake, Texas, the wealthiest city in the United States, tends to have a reputation of being, well, stuck up, exclusive, off-putting to some. Well, here, I'm going to tell you the 5 things I wish I knew about Southlake, Texas before I moved here and what it's really like to be here. Now, when I moved out to Southlake, Texas, I had no friends, I had no connections, I didn't know a soul in the DFW Metroplex. My family and I were relocating from the Las Vegas area and we moved out here, did a lot of research before we came out here, and as we were researching neighborhoods to look at, we weren't exclusively tied to the DFW area. We were looking in Virginia, we were looking in Florida, we were looking in Tennessee, we were looking in parts of California where I grew up. And when I started doing the research and digging in the numbers of not only Southlake, Texas, but DFW as a whole, it became very apparent that this was a very special place. So when we moved out here, I ended up buying a property that we ended up rehabbing, and I would fly out here and spend 3 or 4 or 5 days making sure the contractors were doing what they were supposed to do and making sure the process was going as smoothly as possible. And I got the idea as I was doing my research that Southlake was a bit off-putting to some because it had a reputation for being, well, kind of, haughty and arrogant and things like that. Now, what I wish I knew before I moved out here was that nothing could be farther from the truth. The people here have been absolutely amazing to me and my family. When I first got out here, I met more people in my block just in those short stints of going back and forth than I had known in my community back in Las Vegas for over 10 years. When we moved here, we had neighbors stopping by. They were bringing us home-baked bread. They were bringing us meals. They were asking if we needed anything. They would bring us bagels. It was just such an amazing and nice experience to really meet and communicate with the people in your neighborhood on a much different level than you do in a lot of other areas of the country. It is something I had never experienced before, and it was really a wonderful surprise coming out here. The second thing I wish I knew before moving out to Southlake, Texas, the pride in the community. The whole community is really centered around a pride in the ability to live, work, and play a lifestyle that you really enjoy. The entire community is built around Carroll ISD in a lot of ways. So there's a lot of pride in the local high school and the local sports programs and the local education. Now, Carroll ISD is known as one of the best school districts in the entire country and is consistently named the best school district in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. The graduation rate is basically 100%, with most kids going off to very high-end colleges. The type of test scores and academics are very not only competitive, but also centered in a way that they don't really leave kids behind. Carroll ISD is structured in a way where they don't really leave any kids behind. They really work with the individuals and the families to make sure that kids are getting the best education possible. And the test scores prove it. If you come to Carroll ISD and you live in Southlake, you're essentially getting access to a private school level of education on a public school level, which is pretty incredible and not something you see in a lot of other areas. The third thing I wish I knew about moving to Southlake before I moved here is the quality of life. Now, me and my family, we are very devout Christians, and one of the primary factors for us relocating is we wanted to find an area of the country where we could worship and find good biblical-based churches and a community we could plug into. And there is an abundance of those in Southlake. There are almost too many churches to name, and we looked around and we spent about a year going to different churches and checking them out. And then we found a wonderful home church called Temple Baptist Church, which is not in Southlake. It's actually in Flower Mound, about 15 miles up the road. But I have to tell you, we were accepted there as family almost immediately. We have tons of friends there, and it was very easy to plug in and be able to worship God in the way that we prefer to worship. Number 4, the location. They say everything in real estate is location, location, location. Well, Southlake is one of the best located communities in all of DFW. In Southlake, you can get to downtown Dallas in about 30 minutes. You can get to downtown Fort Worth in about 25 minutes. You are 10 minutes from DFW International Airport, which is wonderful for entrepreneurs and business owners that need to travel around the country, because you could literally be in New York in 3 hours. You can be in California in 3 hours. You could be in Mexico in 2 hours. It's a wonderful place to go in and out of. And DFW International Airport is a very easy place to get in. So when I have a flight, I will actually drive in about 45 minutes before my flight, check in, you're through security, and it's just done. And it's a wonderful, nice locale to be in. The fifth thing I wish I knew about Southlake, Texas before moving here is the insane long-term value value of this neighborhood. Now, like I said, the pricing in Southlake is on the higher end. However, when you really start digging into the numbers, you're going to find very quickly that Southlake, Texas is one of the best valued luxury cities in the entire world and is going to continue to go in that direction. I knew there was a good value coming out here. That was one of my criteria before I relocated, but I didn't really realize before I got on the ground and spent some time here what the opportunity is. So in Southlake, you're seeing that Southlake is not only a community of about 30,000 people with very high-end homes and a very good lifestyle and quality of life, but at the same time, you still have major economic hubs moving in. You have Westlake, which is becoming a global financial center, which is literally a neighbor. You have surrounding communities with a very high quality of life. You also have Fortune 500 companies moving directly into Southlake and setting up their headquarters here. So the long-term growth potential is very, very strong. Now, one of the downsides to Southlake at this point is that most of the neighborhoods and communities are already built out. Southlake really started being developed in the 1970s, and most homes were built up until the early 2000s. So finding new homes, freshly built homes in Southlake right now is a bit of a challenge. There is not too much land left to be developed. So what you are seeing is you're seeing people buying properties in the 1970s, rehabilitating them or tearing them down and rebuilding on those lots. But the long-term lot value is very, very high, and the neighborhoods are only going to continue to escalate in price as the value of communities and the rehabilitation continues. So if you're looking for a very good value in one of the wealthiest cities in the United States, I would highly recommend checking out Southlake, Texas. Of course, if you're interested in looking here, I'm somebody that has boots on the grounds. I live and work in this community every single day, and I would love to help navigate you and be your first friend in Southlake, Texas, as you're looking to relocate your business or your family or just yourself to this area. And of course, if there's other neighborhoods or cities in the DFW Metroplex, we're always happy to help out and reach out and try to navigate that process for you. If you'd like to learn more about Southlake or about other areas in the DFW Metroplex, do me a favor, you can click below and you can book a discovery call with me, and I would love to walk you through the process and just get to know you. So those are the things I wish I knew before I moved to Southlake, Texas, and I hope you're having a great day, and we will see you next time. Thanks so much.